So what drives price? You know, and this is certainly something that my managers taught me. It's very simple: competition and urgency. And I think we're actually going to get to a bit of a role play a bit later on with an auction and just have a bit of fun there and show you what urgency can actually do when something is being auctioned off. But competition, properties, you know, that might have had one or two people negotiating for going back 12 months ago, we might see multiple offers, 4 or 5 or 6 offers come in. That competition drives price up. And at the end of the day, it's pretty obvious. The person who buys the home is the person who pays more. But when you've got a lot of people competing, it can be a lot more than what people have been expecting. All I'd say is it's a great time right now to be looking to buy, because the local White Horse Leaders just finished. I think this is its last week that it's running. Won't start up until about mid to late January. And in that time, there's a lot of people who go on Christmas holidays. So what a great time to be looking when essentially you might have had 4 or 5 people to compete against. There might only be 1 or 2, or you might be the lucky person who's negotiating there alone. With that being said, there's not generally a lot of properties on the market this time of the year, especially now we're sold out of a lot. But if you are lucky enough to come across one, it's a great time to be buying when there's no one else competing against you. Okay. Tips and advice. Now, I'm not going to talk for long because this is Chris's show, but I think there's just 3 or 4 or 5 tips that I've put together here today that I want to get across. And the first thing is, look, hey, I know that there's a lot of bad agents out there. I know that because I deal with them and work with them all day long. There's also some good agents out there too. And what I'd say is to give yourselves a real chance. If you can build a relationship with a good agent or several good agents in an area, you're absolutely increasing your chances. So what makes a good agent? Well, I don't know about you guys, but I've just recently gone out to buy my first house, and trying to get a phone call back from an agent was next to impossible. Sent emails, made visits down there, gone to the opens, have had the wrong times. They probably weren't the best agents to be dealing with. But on the other hand, sometimes you get agents who you go through their open, like Chris comes through many opens, and you'll get a phone call back from them on a Monday or Tuesday to just say, hey, Chris, I've seen you come through the open on the weekend, just wanted to follow up to see what you thought of it. That's standard practice at Allens, and hey, you know, I'll be the first to admit when 113 people come through an open, sometimes it can be hard to get back to everyone. Generally, it's busy in the life of an agent, but if you do get someone who's making the effort to call you back, it's a bit of a bell there that, you know, this person might be really trying to give you a hand. Chris developed a relationship with me. Obviously, I've seen that he's pretty serious, had an idea of what he was looking for. All those things that he's just set up on stage, he's been doing long before we ever really knew each other. I knew what he wanted. I knew roughly what sort of budget he was working with and what area. And I just happened to go through a property where this gentleman didn't want us to put it in the paper. Believe it or not, not everybody out there wants to sell with these massive campaigns. He didn't want a whole heap of stuff. So I said, I think I know someone who might be interested. I said, can I just have 5 minutes to just go and give him a quick call? Call Chris and describe the property. He said, get me through as soon as you can. Took Chris through. He ended up buying it. The vendor got a great win because he didn't have all these people coming through his home. He didn't have to spend a cent on marketing and have to deal with agents and all the stresses that come with selling a property. You think it's stressful trying to buy a property. I'll tell you what, try selling one. There's a lot of emotional stress that's associated with that as well. Chris ended up buying the property. I believe he got a very good deal, and I probably would say that because I sold the property to him. But I honestly, Chris knew the numbers in the area. He knew what was selling. I showed him everything else, and in comparison to what he paid, I think he did extremely well. It was a win-win scenario. So I would say that, hey, yeah, well, there's some bad guys out there. If you find one who's actually willing to try and help you, really try and work in with them.